All right, we started section 1.2 last time, and we had one question remaining. As mentioned before, these common formulas, they will be given to you on the test. You shouldn't need them on the quiz because you're going to do all the problems before you get to me on the quiz tomorrow anyway, right? So they won't be on the quiz because I'm assuming that you're going to do the homework beforehand. But you don't need to memorize them. And we are on question number 6. Is that right? Yeah. Oh, I did it all on that page, that's why. Okay. So question number 6 talks about a beverage producer. So a beverage producer makes 2 products, orange drink containing 10% orange juice and orange delight containing 50% orange juice. So clearly it's got other things in it. We're assuming probably not just water, right? Maybe it's got pineapple juice, maybe it's got mango in there, I don't know, but it's got other stuff. How many gallons of orange delight must be mixed with 300 gallons of orange drink to create a new product, Orangelicious, containing 40% orange juice? I think there's one in your homework that does it with nuts, and they mix nuts together. If you've ever bought mixed nuts, it's an actually really interesting thing because you'll see it on packages where it'll say like, only 30% peanuts. Peanuts is apparently a very cheap nut to purchase or whatever, and other nuts are more expensive. So they try to ration out the other nuts with the peanuts, which are cheap. So this is like a thing, right? I mean, especially if it is all water, what if everything else is in this particular drinks are water? Well, water's cheap, right? Orange juice is not so cheap. If you've ever bought orange juice before, you know. So we actually are going to create a chart. So when you're talking about mixing ratios of things, charts are very helpful. So we're going to create a chart, and in our chart we have 3 different types of products. Our 3 types of products were listed individually. The first one I think they said was orange drink. The second one was orange delight, and the last one was Orangelicious. So I'm just going to list them all out over here. And I'm not going to write the word orange because that's the same for all of them. So we're just going to write the other descriptor. So the first one is orange drink, so I'm just going to write drink. The second one was orange delight, so I'm just going to write delight. And the last one was Orangelicious, so I'm going to write alicious. I know that's not a real word, but you can pretend for the moment, right? Okay. Now each of these had a certain percentage of orange juice in them. And they were all different. So it's important for us to write them down and remember all those details. So how much orange juice was in Orangelicious? I mean, orange drink, the first one. It was 10%. How about orange delight? It was 50%. And I'm creating this new product, Orangelicious, that should be 40%. Okay, so we may or may not use our table values exactly as they're in values, but we're just trying to get a way to organize the data to compare them. That's really what the table's for, is to be able to compare our data. The other thing that it asks about and talks about is how much of it is in there. For instance, it said gallons, right? The number of gallons of each. So there was a 300 given. What was the 300? I don't think so. It was orange something else. It was orange delight. There are 300 gallons of orange delight that are going to be mixed to create Orangelicious. Right? It says 300 gallons of orange drink.
Orange drink. No.
Oh, I said the wrong thing. The first one. I wrote it right. I just said it wrong. Right? 300 of the drink. So 300 of the orange drink. And we actually need to figure out, it says how many gallons of orange delight. So that's something we don't know. It's a question it's asking us. So if it's an unknown quantity, it needs a variable. I'm going to call it X this time. I don't know how much this is going to be. But basically, I'm taking 2 different kinds of drinks and I'm mixing them together. Okay? Do you guys ever mix your drinks like that? Yes. My children in the morning mix their juices all the time. All the time. So we regularly mix apple juice with cran grape. That's the one that they like to mix the most. And then my youngest one, the one you guys have visited with and seen here before, she likes to mix the apple with the cran grape and orange. And she calls it all the juices. So, all the juices. Okay, but like think about what happens literally. You pour some in here and you pour some in here. And then the number of the gallons, or in their case ounces for my children, but the number of gallons that you have is just going to be the addition of the 2 different kinds of drinks, right? So my number of gallons of Orange Delicious would have to be 300 plus X. Does that make sense? Just the addition of the two above. Okay. Now, the last column is the one that is going to put it all together. It requires the most thought on how it works. So let me guide you through that. What we actually are concerned with here is the number of gallons of orange juice. Okay, so we're going to do the first line because I think it makes a lot of sense because it doesn't have any variables with it. I have 300 gallons of orange drink, and 10% of the 300 gallons is attributed to by orange juice, right? How much orange juice is in that 300 gallons of orange drink? Sorry, I hear like 3 people saying things all at one time, so I'm not sure what was said. 10%. 10% of the 300. So what's 10% of 300? 30 bucks. 30. Oh, that's 30 bucks. I was thinking about money, right? 30, right? It's 30 gallons. So if we took our 10% as a decimal and we multiplied it by the number of gallons of the actual orange drink, we would find out that we had 30 gallons of orange juice. That's actually how much orange juice is within that particular vat of drink mix, right? Okay. Well, that process works the same way for all the other lines, even though I won't get a concrete, just specific number when I'm done. So I'm also going to have 50%, that's 0.50, or you could just put 0.5 if you wish, of my of my X gallons. I don't know how much that is, but I know it's 0.5X, right? Because I'm just multiplying those two quantities together. And then we have 40% of our resulting quantity that's supposed to be of the 300 plus X drink. And what we would want to do, of course, is then to distribute this through. So what is 40% of 300? Somebody said it's 120. And then when I do the 0.4 through to the X, I have plus 0.4X.
How did you figure out to get 120?
We just multiply 0.4 times 300. Your calculator can do it just fine for you if you want to do it in there. That'll work. Okay. So in the first orange drink, I have 30 gallons of orange juice. In the second one, the Orange Delight, I have 0.5X, whatever that is, gallons worth of orange juice. And in the last one, I have 120 plus 0.4X gallons of orange juice. All right? But again, I'm still mixing these quantities together. So I'm taking my orange drink and I'm taking my Orange Delight and I'm mixing them together. And once I mix them together, I end up with my Orange Delicious, correct? So these two quantities added together have to equal this one. Like physically think about what we're doing. We're dumping this one in, we're dumping this one in, and we have at the very end a quantity of, all compiled together, dumped in together. So we actually have the case that 30 plus my 0.5X, that's the gallons of orange juice in each of the individual different drink mixes, has to equal the same amount of orange juice as in the Orange Delicious, which is 120 plus 0.4X. And we're going to solve for X. We haven't done a whole lot with decimals. In fact, sometimes you guys have changed things into decimals instead of doing the fractions, so I think you probably like them okay. We're going to move the 0.4x to the left just because I like to keep things positive usually. So I'll move that one first. We could have moved the 30 first. We'll move it eventually. So I have 30 here. What is 0.5x minus 0.4x? 0.1x. I'll move my 30 now, which maybe you moved yours first. It doesn't matter, but either way. So now I have 0.1x. What's 120 minus 30? 90. And if I divide by 0.1, what will I get? Yeah, somebody said 900. This is gallons. Remember, we're doing word problems. We want units. Specifically, this is the number of gallons of what? X is what it is, but what is the... Yeah, of this specific drink mix. It's the Orange Delight. So I'll actually write orange now.
Delight or the Orange Delicious?
Delight. And the reason it's Delight is because the X up here is the Delight.
But there's an X in Algebra.
There is, but it's not just X, it's 300 plus X. So if the question asked you how much Orangelicious do you have, how much do you have? 1,200 gallons.
Oh, wait. 20.
1,200, right, Bailey? Yeah.
Plus a 0.
Okay, so 300 gallons of orange drink, 900 gallons of Orange Delight makes a total of 1,200 gallons of Orangelicious. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You could also talk about, we wouldn't, but you could also talk about how much orange juice that actually took to make all that, right? You could. It'd be 40% of the 1,200, right? That's actually how much orange juice would be represented in that quantity of this new drink mix. Okay? Not gonna lie, this is a challenging problem. The table helps me an awful lot. I am a very visual person. I see things in tables, charts. I have to-do lists all over the place in my own life. Pictures help me a lot in this section with that one like we did with the area of the rectangle one. So whatever it takes for it to click in your mind, you need to organize the data in some way. That's the idea. All right, so this section's homework inside of my math lab will now be due tomorrow.